One vital skill that you need to live a healthy life in today's world is the ability to recognize tricky marketing. We are so accustomed to it that you may not have even realized it before, but the grocery store has to be one of the most confusing and chaotic places. We are bombarded with messaging and marketing from the moment we walk in the doors. This episode is all about helping you navigate that marketing so that you can shop with your health in mind. Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Melisha Meredith. I've led my family on a transformative health journey for over a decade, and now I help other families do the same. This is a place where busy moms can learn about healthy living. I hope that what you learn here helps you feel empowered to take the next step in your family's health journey. Food companies are in business. Understandably, they want to make money. To do that, they need to sell their product. They have research teams that try and determine what the market wants. They have scientists working in their labs, developing products that are addictive and as cheap for them as possible. They have teams of marketers that design eye-catching and seductive packaging. I would even go so far as to say that the packaging is often manipulative and misleading. What they do isn't honest, and I don't even think should be legal, and I'll share some examples of that in a minute. The more addictive they can make their products, the more people will buy them and the more money they can make. And by using the cheapest possible ingredients in their product, again, the more money they can make. Have you ever noticed that it's really hard to eat one Dorito or one Oreo? That isn't on accident. Companies use a combination of salt, sugar, and fat to create foods that overstimulate the taste buds, and yet are designed to never quite leave you feeling satisfied. So you eat more and more and more. Not every company is like this. There are some good companies out there, mostly smaller ones, that are producing food products with health in mind, not just profit, and I'm thankful for that. But we have to keep in mind that the companies that care about your health are in the minority. I'm someone who gives people the benefit of the doubt most of the time. I'm going to assume that you have my best interest in mind until you prove me wrong. Unfortunately, most food companies have proved me wrong. The more I learn, the more I know that they put profit over people, and they cannot be trusted to do what is good for me or for you or for our families or for anyone buying their products. In a report by CBC News, they said it this way: these companies rely on deep science and pure science to understand how we're attracted to food and how they can make their foods attractive to us. They know you will be back because they've done the research necessary to make it happen. This is really important to understand because these companies are producing ultra-processed foods that are making us fatter and sicker than ever before, our children included. It's not really all their fault, though. They are making these foods because we are buying them. They wouldn't make them if they weren't selling and turning profits. The majority of Americans are addicted to ultra-processed foods, both to the foods themselves and to the convenience of them. We have to understand that we are entering a war zone when we enter the grocery store. It's a war for our health. Big food companies are battling for your mind, your wellness, and mainly your money. They are banking on the fact that we either don't know what we are doing or don't care what we are eating. So, if you are someone that cares about their health, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably do. If you care about your family's health, if you are someone that wants to fight back against the immoral workings of big food companies, or if you're someone that's just trying to get more educated, today I'm going to give you a crash course on tricky marketing schemes that you're going to see in every grocery store in America. One thing that food companies are going to do is design packages with the consumer in mind, and that's actually very smart of them, right? We can't blame them for that. I would do the same if I were marketing a product. But what you need to keep in mind when you are at the store is that you are being marketed to. So just don't be naive. They're going to make bright packages with animals or superheroes for our kids. They're going to make packaging for women that appeals to us in style and color to sway us toward a purchase. They also use nature-themed packaging to convince you that something is healthy. Maybe the packaging has leaves, the color green, or a sunshine. These mean nothing. You have to look at the back of the product label at ingredients. That's where you find out if it's something that's going to help or hurt your health. When something is packaged as healthy, but it's really not, there's a term for that. It's called greenwashing, and it happens all the time. So try to become blind to the marketing that is at play around you and look and think deeper than the superficial packaging. Another thing that you'll see in tricky marketing is buzzwords. These are things like whole grain, gluten-free, antioxidants, all natural, low calorie, low fat, sugar-free, and even organic. So let's look more closely at a few of these. I've learned that when I see low fat on the label, it's going to be an automatic no for me. First of all, fat is not bad. Fat-free and low-fat labeling is catering to a market of people who still don't know that fat is good for you. It's actually essential for you. Americans are starved for healthy fat. We need it for strong cell walls, a healthy brain, and to build healthy hormones. Have you noticed how many people have mental health disorders and messed up hormones? If you need to learn more about the difference between healthy and unhealthy fats, I'm going to put some resources in the show notes for you, but let's get back to the labeling. So if something is labeled low fat, that means that they have processed the heck out of that product to take the fat out, and then they've added in artificial ingredients and additives to make it taste good. Because if you take the fat out, then you take the flavor out. That's why a lot of low-fat stuff doesn't taste good. Low-fat dairy is even popular in the health world right now because there's a huge cottage cheese craze going on right now, and I see tons of health influencers online buying low-fat cottage cheese. But low-fat conventional dairy is going to be incredibly inflammatory for most people because it is so denatured. So I steer clear of it. I'll buy full-fat dairy, and I'll cut fat somewhere else if I'm concerned about my fat macros. Low-calorie is another pet peeve of mine. There is a time for calorie deficits. If you are overweight and you need to lose weight for health purposes, there's a time to think about that. But did you know that many American women chronically undereat? We are killing our metabolism because we've been taught to eat to be thin. What we really need to do is eat to nourish ourselves. And if you see a packaged food item that says 50 calories on the front, I can just about promise you that it has 30 plus ingredients on the back. They're trying to catch you with their low-calorie marketing on the front because they don't want you to turn that package around and see the unhealthy 30 ingredients on the back. Eat good, nutrient-dense calories. Eat enough of them. And if you need to eat in a caloric deficit, you can do that while still eating real whole foods. Another buzzword that you'll see is sugar-free. All these things are very nuanced because things like fat and calories and sugar are not all the same. For example, sugar from fruit is very different than high fructose corn syrup. So we need to not demonize all sugar, and we need to educate ourselves on the differences. But some things that I see sugar-free labels on are Jell-O and pudding, cake mixes, diet sodas, candy, even like drinks like lemonade or sports drinks, canned pie fillings. I mean, we could go on and on here, right? But when you taste those foods, they're still actually sweet, right? So how is that, right? How can these sugar-free foods still be sweet? Well, it's because they've taken out the sugar and they've replaced it with artificial sweeteners. So let's talk about some of those. One of the sweeteners in sugar-free Jell-O, for example, is aspartame. Research has linked aspartame consumption to neurological symptoms such as headaches, dizziness, mood changes, and cognitive impairment. And many organizations are listing it as possibly carcinogenic to humans, meaning it can cause cancer. Sucralose is another artificial sweetener that you often see as Splenda that is used in sugar-free goods like diet sodas, sugar-free Kool-Aid, and baked goods. Sucralose has been shown to change your gut microbiome by lowering the number of good bacteria by half and cause inflammation that can increase your risk of, get this, obesity and diabetes. these are the kinds of sweeteners that they often give diabetics because they are quote unquote sugar-free. It's just so disturbing. But we have more. So let's talk about sugar alcohols. These are artificial sweeteners like sorbitol, xylitol, erythritol, and maltitol. Hopefully I'm saying all those right. But they're found in a lot of sugar-free candies. They're used in a lot of keto-type foods. They have been linked to irritation in the gastrointestinal tract, causing diarrhea, bloating, and gas. Basically, a lot of irritation. It can even cause things like acid reflux. These sugar-free foods are in no way, shape, or form healthy for us, and slapping a sugar-free label on them does not change that. And lastly, I just want to talk about the buzzwords of organic and gluten-free. Gluten can cause inflammation, so if you want to avoid that, then it's nice to have some gluten-free options. Organic. If you eat organic, you're going to be able to avoid some harmful chemicals that are often put on non-organic foods, and both of those things are great. I often buy gluten-free and organic foods. But when you're talking about ultra-processed foods in packages, when you see the label gluten-free and organic, it does not automatically mean that that's a good, healthy choice for you, because those products can often have still a lot of sugar and still be very processed and have not that much nutrient value. So now we know not to be duped by buzzwords, right? We're always going to be people who read ingredient labels and determine for ourselves whether something is right for me or not. Another really tricky marketing tactic is endorsements. Let's talk about, for example, Cheerios, which are a highly processed food with synthetic ingredients, but they are endorsed by the American Heart Association, right? You can see it right on the front of every Cheerios package. Anytime you see an endorsement like that, you need to look deeper. Even the chocolate Cheerios or the very berry Cheerios or whatever other flavor, they all have that endorsement on them. And the chocolate Cheerios have 10 grams of added sugar per 1 cup serving. In 1 cup of chocolate Cheerios, you're getting 10 grams of added sugar, which is almost the entire recommended amount of added sugar for a day. And you know that people are eating more than 1 cup. I mean, when I ate cereals like this, I had like 2 or 3 cups in my bowl, right? Common sense will tell you that this is not heart healthy. In 1997, a ruling from the FDA stated that in marketing certain oat foods, which Cheerios is technically, an oat food, that companies may label them as part of a diet that, quote unquote, may reduce the risk of heart disease. I have a lot of problems with this political business scheme, mainly that it deters people from eating what will actually reduce their risk of heart disease. So don't be fooled by meaningless and manipulative endorsements. I'm about out of time here, but I hope this discussion on tricky marketing by food companies helps you to become a more health-savvy shopper. We talked about tricky packaging, buzzwords, and endorsements. There's a lot more I could say, but I think by now you're getting the idea. You've got to keep your detective glasses on in the grocery store. It's a lot easier if you shop the perimeter and buy foods that are ingredients instead of having a lot of ingredients. It's going to save you a lot of time if you just shop real food. Keep in mind that a lot of these marketing tricks also apply to your personal care and your household items. One thing that I would love to see happen is you guys sharing this episode with your friends and family, because I know that you are like me and you have people that you love in your life that you would love to see become more health-savvy shoppers for their own good, right? So that they can live a long, abundant life. So please share this episode with them and use it as a starting point for conversations. I know that sometimes talking about health issues can be kind of touchy for people, but if you shared this episode and just said, "Hey, I thought this was really interesting. What do you think?" It might just open up some good dialogue. Thanks for listening today. I would love it if you could leave me a review and a rating, and I wish all of you in this daily wellness community abundant health. Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.